provide an open mic. We are here not only to talk with and share, but also to hear from you. I always like to remind you that the Voice and Viewpoint is San Diego's oldest and only African American publication, available in 89 zip codes, 17 cities, 39 communities, the unincorporated areas of the county. Now on the internet at no cost. You can download our app in the Google or Apple store, and you can pull us up and follow us on our website, our news bites, and all of the things that we put online. You can also follow us on TikTok if you like. So we're really doing a number of things in terms of outreach. This evening, if you wish to call in, you may do it at 858-251-6111, 858-251-6111, or you may reach us online at godradio1.com. And so either way, we are excited about the opportunity to have this interaction with you. Tonight we have with us as a guest Mr. Tony Young, well-known member of our community, former teacher, former city council member, consultant to powerful people, and now the president of the Workforce Partnership. And so Dr. Thompson, I wanted to yield to you before we start with Mr. Young, so that he can help people understand the one business that was not intended to be led by one of us.
Well, one of the things I'm very excited having you here today, you know, we got so much to ask you and so many questions, and I know we want to give you enough time. So I'm just going to say welcome and thank you for your support over the years. And I'm turning back over to you. Let's get it on. But I know Ms. West might have something.
Ms. West has joined us as the managing editor of the Voice of Viewpoint. And all of the substantive and important things you see in the paper are the results of her efforts. Okay, all they do is show it to me and see if I can nod, say yes or no.
Well, I would just say, John, the newspaper looks wonderful. It's a great resource, very professional, and of course we're going to, at the Workforce Partnership, and continue to look for opportunities to support you.
Well, we appreciate it because it's the institution that we're seeking to preserve in our 68 year, 65, Tanya? 66 years.
64 year, I think we're in our 64th.
Yeah, and so one of the important things about where we are now is that we are transitioning. We are going to maintain print, but we're also transitioning into the digital age in a very big way. And so that's why we have news bites that we publish. Tanya can say how often we do it. You can say a word about that.
3 times a week.
Say what?
3 times a week. 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay, and we're constantly updating our website with information, and we also do live feed. So as with the flood, we cover things in real time, and our goal is ultimately to have drones so that we can really upload. So we're working in that direction.
That's great.
Mr. Young, I think it's so important. You know, Workforce is a unique organization, and my memory of it came about after Congress made a change from CETA in terms of what was the whole approach to providing jobs and training. And so when Workforce was set up here, it was set up as a nonprofit. We needed an umbrella agency to capture this new program. And so a lot of people got involved with it. At one point, I think the Manpower folks were very instrumental in the original structure. And over the years, it's expanded. We've had people working in it. We've had job training and everything. But you've come along following a very difficult time, and you have taken the reins, and you are restructuring in such a way that the community once again wants to be involved. So I want you to take time, tell us what you're doing, say a word about the series of meetings that you're doing.
Yes.
And we want to help that get out as people are listening.
Yeah, thank you, John and Leonard, and thank you for all of you for being here. So just give you a little understanding of what the Workforce Partnership is, because one of the things I figured out is that there's a lot of people who don't really even know what it is. So I'll do it in a simple way, is that on one side of the coin, it's a organization that helps individuals get trained in the type of job or career path that's of interest to them. But then on the other side, what we do is work with industry and business to come up with the right trainings to fit the needs of this region. The other thing about the workforce partnership, it does have a very unique structure. We have 2 boards. It's actually a consortium of the county and the city, and then we're a nonprofit of that consortium. It is one of the largest, if not the largest, workforce boards in the country. And a lot of workforce boards are a part of the city government or the county government, but we're independent in that way, even though we have board members that are from the county board of supervisors and the city council. So it's a pretty unique structure. We have a role, and then we also have programs. We have different programs in the organization that deal with, and we just started, since I got there, we started one with reentry. We actually put workforce board sites in the jails so that we can work with folks before they come out. And we have a number of different programs, everything from cybersecurity to medical and issues related to building trades. So we do a lot of different things in regards to workforce development. I would also say the real important thing about this organization is the question is, and when I came here into the organization, it was pretty clear that there's a lot of individuals and organizations that are doing workforce development, and that's actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
The question is where do we fit in? And I think it is about making sure that we facilitate, connect, support the entire region in regards to what the workforce development movement should look like in San Diego region.
Can you say a word about your relationship with EDD, the Employment Development Department? Because your people are on site with them.
So we have 6 different workforce development career centers around the region in North County, South County, Mid-Cities, East County, and most of those sites have co-inhabitors, which include EDD. So basically, the WIOA legislation says that we should cohabitate with them in our career center. So EDD is there, and we have other partners that are there will help the individual go through their process if they lost their job or if they've gotten dislocated. We work with them to help fit their needs.
Well, one of my concerns is under the old leadership, everything seemed to be focused on just reaching students that were in school.
Mm-hmm.
And that represented a real deviation from the great-grandparent programs like the Manpower Development Training and then CETA. All of these programs were intended to reach people between 16 and 21 or 22, and many of the people reached were not in school.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of my complaints over the years was that workforce didn't reach out into the community enough to reach people, even though you have those 6 sites with people working. So can you say a word about how you're working to overcome that piece?
I think we see things the same way. We see things the same way. I don't believe that our main role is to serve UCSD in San Diego State or UC San Marcos or San Marcos. I don't think we really should be partnering with other entities to address the communities that really need this the most.
Mm-hmm.
That would be Southeast, Mid-City, Oceanside, San Isidro, and some of our, I think the partners that I think make most sense would be the community colleges,
mm-hmm.
or continuing education, or some of the entities that are actually doing the real work when it comes to identifying folks that need training. The school district, that's who we should be focusing on. As a matter of fact, when we go into the future, I envision, and I think I have heard it from the governor say that that's where they're going to put a lot of resources going forward, which is going to be community colleges, apprenticeships there. We have apprenticeship programs there. So to me, it might look, I think my predecessor might felt that it was, shiny and really impressive to be at UCSD. I'm not impressed by that stuff. I'm impressed by us serving the people that we should be serving, which is our neighborhoods that we know of.
Dr. Thompson?
Yeah, and as we go through, there's things up on the board that if you guys want to address. But one of the things that I do want to say is the fear factor that it seems like some people in the community have for the fear of the unknown of when they come there. Some people feel like they're not welcome there if they're African American. That mostly Latinos are being served and refugees. How do we bring back our total community and not feel like they're not welcome?
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with this legacy of us not serving the African American community specifically. And there are a lot of steps that we're going to have to take to make sure that we do that. First thing I did is make sure that my executive team reflected the community. So we have, for the first time ever, I think John can attest to this, that our executive team is all people of color. All people of color.
Wow.
So that's definitely a huge shift. Also, our staff should reflect that, and now they are. I mean, I'm going through a whole hiring process. I've made a big cut of our administrative staff, and I'm using that extra money to put it out into the career centers, including Metro, which is right on Imperial Avenue. So when we hire, we have to hire people that look like our folks in the community. That's the other part. But then in reality, I just think that we have a long ways to go to be able to provide the right customer service for the people, to respect the people as they go and come into the door. The facility should feel receptive. The people need to know how to engage with folks. And that's a cultural thing. I'm talking about an organizational cultural thing that in my next year I plan on really focusing on.
I've been seeing a lot of, I want to say, legacy moves from the Rise Fellows and all the work that they're doing. Do you see somehow engaging the Rise Fellows? Because and it's funny to me that when you become a Rise Fellow, it's almost like you don't went to grad school and everybody's like, I'm a Rise Fellow. How are you seeing them come into the market with all the training and opportunities that's been given to the RISE program?
Yeah, so the RISE program, just so people might not know, is an organization I started 10 years ago that focused on the urban community and tried to develop leadership strategies based on adaptive leadership and group dynamics. And I think we've been pretty successful. So number one, they're the smartest people I could find, so I'm hiring them, number one. So I got a vice president who's a RISE fellow. I have other folks in my organizations who I feel. I'm not shy about it because they're smart.
Yeah.
But in the longer range thing is that the cool thing is that many of those RISE fellows are now running or ahead of organizations or in organizations that we should be partnering with. And I wanted to bring that up when it comes to partnering, is that the workforce partnership should not be competing against people.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing in the past, is actually getting the grant and from the state or the federal or some philanthropic organization and keeping the grant. It really should be helping these entities out there like RISE or any other nonprofits that are doing that work.
Well,
we should get them the money, and then we should support them. That should be the strategy.
Well, I'll be very honest. Before you came along, I abolished the workforce partnership because it had a history of not serving the community. It had a history of grabbing people for its advisory board who, when they got there, they didn't represent the community, though they were supposed to. It had a history of putting all of its efforts into reaching students in high school that they could recruit through the internet rather than the hands-on. And I was very disappointed when I used to go to EDD, because whenever I had a personnel need, I made an effort to go there first. And oftentimes the people working there had real attitudes, even against employers. And we were the ones who were trying to hire the people that were coming through there. And so that's why I continue to be concerned about the people, that whole element that is not in school, that if, I guess the place they would come there would be through EDD. There would be that element that would come through there. They might not have the education or a GED or whatever, but they're coming looking for training, and that element was being left out under the old approach.
Yeah, first of all, EDD is separate from us, but
Right.
they're in our building and they work with folks who are unemployed or lost their job or dislocated.
So it's your building that they're in?
They're in our building. We co-locate with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
interesting.
just imagine, I don't have control over them in regards to
Right.
that, even though we do work with them. And I definitely would say that our organization also has a long ways to go in regards to how just the empathy. It's interesting because you remember when this was started, and that was 50 years ago when this was started.
Yes.
And I've noticed in our organization, it's almost like all of those different things, different cultural things, they've seeped into the walls, and they just kind of, you have to extract all that out. Sometimes it's the people, sometimes it's the process. There's a whole business process plan we're going on over.
Well, there's no institutional memory because what we're talking about predates the people that we're talking about actually having been born.
Yeah, but the thing
Okay.
is, though, Dr. Warren, is that because of these things, the system has built upon itself so much, they don't even know why they're doing it. It's just because it's been done for a long time, and it hasn't been a good way.
Yeah.
So it's become almost like a culture that we have to change. And I'm not shy of saying that because I know that's what has to happen. I know I've lived in the community, so I know what my people feel. So that's the issue.
Well, Latanya, I remember, and you can help my memory. Tony, you're doing a series of meetings now,
Yes.
and I need you to say something about them because, as one caller pointed out, that there was one last night. I believe they went very well.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't able to stay with it, and one of the things that we're trying to do is let people know that the community is bigger than Southeast
Yeah.
because we live every place. And that's why we're trying to get people to understand that. And so even though you having these meetings in different communities, I think it's important that people go to some of these meetings outside of the community that they're used to so that they can see what's happening. Can you say a word about what you're trying to
thank
do at
you.
those meetings?
Well, it was pretty clear to me, just again dealing with the culture and how we engage with communities, that we had to do something like this. And basically, what we're doing is what we call a 2030 strategic plan. We're actually creating a strategic plan, but this is the difference. And remember, we're all over, so it's going to be there's tomorrow. Right now, my folks are in Oceanside doing an outreach effort. We'll be in East County and El Cajon tomorrow. We're dealing with the Port Tenants Association. We're gonna engage with we're gonna have 18 different meetings over the
Right.
next couple of weeks, and so it's really to hear what we haven't done right and what should be done, and then try to create a true strategic plan, not only for the organization, but really because we're in this position as this organization when it comes to what we do, is a strategic plan of workforce development throughout the whole region that will include our partners, including, you said EDE, but an EDC, including the Black Chamber, including the military. We have to include everybody. If we're going to have a true workforce development strategy within the region, all the stakeholders have to tell us what they're doing and what they think we can do for them. And I'll just say the other thing is that they have taken the approach in the past as if we are the thing. It's only about us. They're like just this big entity that takes up all the stuff, all the resources. I don't believe in that. It should be us facilitating what's happening, working with Leonard to get some interns here, not keeping the dollars, but just helping to make sure the process happens, working with,
we do interns as well.
that's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
And Tanya handles that very well because we've had interns from SDSU. I've had interns from Point Loma. We have a fellow right now from Berkeley. And so we're in the intern mode. The issue is, and of course this year we haven't had those many requests, but we have, we're always trying to reach out.
Right.
To get those that are interested.
What they didn't tell you is that there's access to dollars that you can use, and that's the other part that I learned since over the last year is that there's different ways to make stuff like that happen.
Right.
Obviously, we have to create these right career pathways for folks because career pathway has to continue to lead to jobs, right? To real jobs. So we can't just, identify folks to clean bushes and clear out weeds in the canyon type of stuff. But as we identify and we have a number of the career pathways, and I think journalism is a part of that, we can find a way to set up training programs to support that. I just got off the phone with, which is a real shame, with Brother Hamid just today, is that they did not let that man really participate for years. So finally, he's using the flood relief money, he is doing a number of houses based on the training that we provide.
But wasn't he on the advisory board at one point?
Yeah, but
Because that became a blockage.
There's a advisory board,
Right.
and then there's an advisory board.
Right.
There's probably was an advisory board of 3 people, really, in reality. And I'm not here talking bad about the organization. I just want to be honest and make sure the community knows is that, man, there's so many opportunities to do this. We can't do everything, but we need to make sure that everybody's aware of what the opportunities are.
Now, one of the things I want to say, because I actually got introduced to what the organization was doing through Nellie's Kitchen. She got registered,
Yes.
and immediately she was able to pick up several people, and then from there, they're trained, and now she said, okay, these people I'm going to keep, and they're going to go
Yep.
on, and so we're placing them. So she said, okay, let me hook you up with my person. And this is where I'm talking about where the community is talking. And so when I interviewed, I think the young lady that we actually decided to work with is a foster student. She's about 21 years old. And we said, okay, so we're killing, or I would say we're hitting several target things that we want to hit as a part of our organization. What I want to ask is that with all the changes that need to be made and has to be made, how is the board insulating you from the, for lack of better words, haters that will come in and try to stop the process because it's different than what they're used to?
Yeah, I have a lot of support from the board. I had to reconstitute the board. So we have a black chair of the board. We have a black vice chair of the board. As I said, we have all of our executives are people of color. I've identified some folks that help. So they're doing. I think they're doing a good job. And of course, the other board, which is Monica Montgomery, is the chair, and of course we work with her really well. That's helped, but folks are going to try to continue to seep in, try to leverage themselves because we have almost a $46 million budget. So for companies, there's opportunities for them in their minds, and so the other thing that we're doing now also, Leonard, is making sure that I just hired 2 procurement officers, which they didn't really have before, to relook at who's getting contracts and all of that. And that's another part, is who gets the money from doing all this work out there. And so, but haters gonna come at you. We've been through this before.
Well, I need to say something about where we sit with this because Tanya knows that we train a variety of people. One thing about a newspaper, it's fluid in terms of all the different areas that people are involved in, from research to projects to things that you learn about. And you mentioned entities like the EDC. We've never had a relationship with them. There are so many entities in San Diego that don't understand that as a matter of public policy, there's an obligation to be involved with us because we represent a community. It's not about how many people or what our readership is. It's all about the fact that there is a due process scenario that speaks to notice, due process, accountability. Now, part of the way this has worked is that when people have engaged in government contracting and they've run a notice with us that they have a contract, even if they didn't get any people of color, and they went ahead and hired another group and somebody protested later, the Office of Federal Contract Compliance would look at the fact that if you ran a notice with Voice and Viewpoint, then you met the good faith requirements of your bid, and therefore you are insulated from blame in terms of who's hired. So we deal with people from the standpoint is business. It's not a matter of giving us an ad. If you have government money, it's a matter of outreach, number one, and it's an institutional issue in terms of reaching communities of color. Because the Union Tribune and the Transcript, back in the 1920s, they set it up so that anything that was public notice went to them by putting daily newspapers of general circulation, which was the knockout weeklies. Well, now we have a situation where all of our community papers are ethnic. The UT is basically non-existent in terms of anyone looking at it.
True.
We're online. The county does a very unique thing with us. When the county HR people, they will run ad with us, usually what is LaTanya, about once a month. And in this ad, they will have a QR code, and they will say, now hiring. And when you scan that QR code, it'll take you to all the jobs that the county has available. The city is beginning to do the same thing.
That's a good idea.
We still have black folks who are not getting jobs, and we still have a EEO slogan, which has become meaningless because folks are not really reaching to embrace us. And so those who came before you made no effort whatsoever for what I'm talking about.
I know.
But the people who are your partners now, they need to understand that that relationship, it extends to Dr. Thompson, it extends to us. We're the only game for our people, but we also make sure that we are inclusive of Asian Journal, Filipino Press, Vietnamese, Chinese, all these other community entities. We never have said use us to the exclusion of others, because
No, I've talked to you about that.
yeah,
We always
everybody
have
has to be
conversations like
involved.
that.
And so this is the challenge now, because you understand it, but I'm finding that many of the people who get hired, they don't.
Yeah.
And we have a young element that doesn't read. And so they think that if it ain't social media, and they don't realize we do social media as well. So now you got to stay on top of them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a challenge, and when we have almost FTEs, we have almost 160 people that work for the organization. Right now, I broke it down to 120 because I thought didn't make a lot of sense. But the good thing is we do have an African American who's over that. The VP of operations, which includes that type of stuff. And he lives in our neighborhood, Brandon Harrison. You know Brandon? So he definitely understands that. A lot of young people, I shouldn't say young, a lot of folks don't understand it. And it's my challenge as a CEO to continue to say it all the time until we change that culture to know that we need to work with our folks, and the people who we serve are the people who you serve, and that's the challenge of a CEO. You guys have both been CEOs, so you understand that you got to continue to talk about it, let people know about it. I like to bring I like to sit in and bring other folks in from my staff to sit there and hear me say to the people that I work in the community that this is important to me. So it's a constant challenge. I'm not saying we're there yet, but we have to continue to say it.
Well, we also reach out, and many organizations bring us in to talk to their organizations about what they're doing and how the connection is made, because many times they don't understand it. For instance, we just finished a session with the California Department of Public Health where we did lunch and learn dealing with Medi-Cal and the transformation of Medi-Cal,
Right.
which is very significant in connection with Cover California and health. And so we're outreaching to people. Leonard is doing it. We're doing it with he just met with the young people in terms of a Stop the Hate effort for them. And LaTanya and I are working on a program with both Oceanside and El Cajon, Tanya? El Cajon, in terms of reaching out to them, because what I found over the years is we have a very diverse African community here that from the past 25 years we have struggled to get them inclusive was San Diego's black community.
That's true.
And even though language was an issue, we still got interpreters in some instances, but we're still trying to get these two elements together. Because divided, we're in trouble in terms of our numbers.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to applaud is that bringing the community back into the agency. I think of Brandon, how he came here, went to college, grew up in the community. You know, for us, being that we grew up in the community, to see the young folks come up and then accelerate. He got married here. He kept his family here. Church boy, as I say,
Yeah,
the whole
exactly,
9 yards.
yeah.
The question I would ask is that as the new vision is coming forward and that the direction is coming, could you walk this? I'm the dude on the street that's looking for help. What's my first move if I'm trying to get to workforce partners and how do I go about it?
Well, let's use a scenario. So I'm walking down. I do my walk in the morning on Skyline, right? And I see a bunch of young men at the bus stop or whatever, and they're, hey, you know, are you interested in the workforce partnership? Or we have a conversation for whatever reason. The first thing I would tell them, because young people are like this, I tell them get on to our website, and it's a really good website. It's workforce.org. That's what I would tell them. Then I would say, you can ask to have a meeting with our career navigators. Then I would send them down to Imperial Avenue right across from Home Depot at the Career Center and walk in and sign up and get intake. Because the way that we can actually really provide service for them is if they actually enroll. So they have to enroll. And once they enroll, then we should help them figure out what career path they want to be into. And one of the things that's amazing when it comes to the workforce partnership that we did, it wasn't really shared, is that we will pay over $7,000 for any training that is on our list. And we have 170 types of training, everything from truck driving to, like I said, building trades or whatever. We'll pay for it. We'll also pay for your child care if you need that. We'll pay for your transportation. And so we try to remove as many barriers that we can. Matter of fact, one of the issues, this is a perfect point for this. I came in and I looked at our numbers over the last year and a half or so when it comes to how much supportive services that we gave to people. So I looked at, okay, how many, we give gift cards out for if you need clothes, I looked at it. We didn't even give out close to, 20%. Wow. So we're leaving that on the table. I was like, no, so this year we've already surpassed it by 3 times since I've been there, just because I know that's important, right? I pushed the organization, pushed the staff to give that money out. It's not your money. Give it to the folks so that they can use it. So that's what I would say to those young men. And then I would, the way I work, I usually try to follow up, get their phone number and say, how'd it go?
Yeah.
Because there are still some issues. There's backlogs, there's slow processes, which is something that I can't be a part of. I cannot be over an organization that doesn't serve in a quick manner. And we haven't got there yet. We've gotten better, but not where I want it to be.
And then my last question, or it won't be my last question, but one of my questions, you mentioned a collaboration with continuing ed. As you're sharing this, I'm like, oh my God, the things that they're doing with continuing ed just lines up perfectly with what you all are doing. And so I could see that growth piece for both entities. And I could see where you're saying we all need to grow together to hit our mission.
We do. It's workforce development is a lot of people do it. There's a lot of things that relate to that, including the community college and continuing ed. So Dr. King, who they gave a really difficult time to at the workforce, I actually got her on our board, and we came into a contract with her. I think this year the contract is almost $400,000 for her to provide a couple of different types of training at ECC. And so, they're a part of that whole system. When I'm talking about the system, they're a part of the whole system. And that's the only way we're going to get to the difficult part is think about, we know ECC, we've been around ECC. Think about the entire county and all of those types of things throughout the East County. Think about Ramona. Think about, there's a lot to do that we can do. That means that, in my mind, we can't focus on just providing, and that's what has happened, direct services, because we don't have the capacity. We never hire enough people to provide enough direct services for people. We have to partner and support folks, be a vision leader on things so that we can have a real system in San Diego that works for everybody.
So you talked about career paths, and you were saying that journalism, even what we do here is on like career path. Is there any career path that deals with like the merchant marines? Because I've been working with a young lady who has successfully able to get young men in the merchant marines,
that's
and
cool.
they're growing very quickly. And she said, "I want to help more people. I want to help more people." And I said, "Okay, well, we have to see how we can get you in to provide those
Yeah,
services."
that's a good. Now we have there's a lot of different career paths throughout the country.
Okay.
Think about San Diego and what we view as like important career paths for our region. That's what WIOA, which is our legislation that is over us, that's what it says. So I have to look at that and see what that is, but there's probably a lot of things in the merchant marines, a lot of things that you have to do, you can do. So it could be a plumber, electrician, welder, whatever. And
Well,
so some of that.
I want to throw the 3 E's out to you, and I think they're really good to adopt. The 3 E's are exposure expands expectation. And so, with all the different programs and things that you're talking about, one of the biggest problems I see from where we sit is our community doesn't know about them. And so somebody's got to make people aware that resources are there. If it's the gift card, if it's daycare, if it's the choices in terms of different programs. I mean, this is the way when Job Corps was first created, and I was there on the Hill when we created Job Corps. That's what Job Corps did. It laid out the different jobs that were available. And the original Job Corps plan did not put you in the Job Corps program in your city. It made sure it sent you to a program that it was in another location, which was designed to get you away from the element that you were accustomed to. And so I had people from the mainland that ended up in the Job Corps program on the island of Kauai, up in the woods, which was really a sweetheart place to be, based on the way it rent. And I often went to visit and check on it. So we need to have people put out. You need to put out. These are the career paths. These are the career options. These are the things that can be done.
That's good.
And these things are important because since I was there when we created CETA, I was there when we did manpower development and training to replace CETA, when we did the youth employment provisions under those statutes. Everything was geared about getting jobs for young people. And one of the things that's happened in San Diego, and I pushed this idea with the mayor, I felt that the city of San Diego needed to have a youth employment department of its own, and that within that department there needed to be an agreement with the MTS so that when young people between the ages of 16 and 21 got jobs, they also got that travel card, so that you and I remember 30 years ago, if they got a job out in Sereno Valley, they used up all the money they made just trying to get there.
Just trying to get there.
To go back and forth. And so that part has already been done. So now I see one of the challenges right now is just letting people know what you have. And I don't think that will happen without your leadership, because people don't make work for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, but we have to do that. And I like that Job Corps analogy because everybody knows what the Job Corps does, right? I mean, it's a part of our nomenclature here. You know what I mean? We know it. Workforce, in some ways, I think maybe there was some purpose behind that. They were intentionally really not letting everybody under real understand what's going on type of thing. But so it'll definitely take some years to get everybody else thinking about us like that.
Right.
But there's some things that we can do. I think our communication team has gotten. I let go of the whole communication team before, and I got a whole new one, and they're actually really good. But it's not enough. We have to be in front of people. We have to be at sites. I have all my VPs. They're all on they all have a charge of being on a different board in somewhere in the neighborhood. There's all these different things that we got to do, but it's going to take a while for people to understand what we can do for them.
One of the things that,
And can you just,
go ahead, Tanya. Tanya.
and can you just unpack that a little bit more in terms of what the workforce partnership actually does for those
Yeah.
who really don't know or they're
Yeah.
not clear?
It's two things, and we're going to continue to say it, two sides of a coin. One, and there's a lot of things we do, but just to make it so that everybody can understand. One side is helping people be trained in the field that they're really interested in. How do we do that? We help pay for their training. It could be at community college. It could be at, Concord, nursing school. It could be a lot of different places. But we have dollars that we get from the federal government that pay for them to go through that process. We give them all these options, and they choose, and they go through that. So that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin, if you kind of get on your helicopter and raise up and look over the whole region, what we're supposed to do is help facilitate and guide and understand what are the trainings that are going to help our particular region. So I work with a lot of different entities, industries, businesses. Like I had a meeting with the hospitality industry, and they need trained people. And so that might not be the same if you went to North Dakota. They probably don't have that kind of issue. So they probably have agriculture or something else. But for us, it's biotech, it's building trades, it's those different types of career paths that we are trying to focus on so that we don't have to go outside to hire folks.
I want
And
to
I'm
ask
really
this.
glad that you mentioned journalism because that is definitely a viable career, and it's particularly for us with local journalism because it's, we all know that mainstream media is not going to report like, for instance, our publication would.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
it's really encouraging for you to mention that and acknowledge that as a career path. Here.
It should be that career paths. I'm not sure what we call it. I'm sure there's one that includes journalism and communication as kind of a path to go through. And as long as we can identify that, then we can make a case on why we should be enrolling folks, training them so that they can work into that field. It could be also social media and all kinds of different stuff that you could be a part of that path.
One of the things
And
I
it's so
want
encouraging. I'm sorry. I
Yeah, no,
can't
that's
see
fine.
you, Dr. Thompson.
No
so I
problem.
can't see when you're
That's
about to
okay.
talk. Just one more comment. It's just very encouraging what you're mentioning here and your commitment level because I personally have had conversations with family members and just wondering how are these young people going to get the help they need, because everything is automated. You have to call, or fill something out online. There's not that human element. So to hear that there's all these opportunities and you are committed to making sure that those opportunities and the dollars get where they need to go, and we need to know about it, the youth, adults, they need to know because otherwise, where's the hope there?
Yeah,
It's so important for young people and others to have hope in their institutions to know that there's a path for them.
Leonard, I was going to say is that I took this job. Dr. Warren knows what I did before this, and obviously it's lucrative and you can do a lot of stuff with it. But I felt like this is the thing for me to do right now, for the community, and it's a good job. Don't get me wrong; it can be well paid and all that, but this is what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing right now, and I feel like the background that I've had when it comes to being a teacher and then being in politics and with policy, and I actually chair of the board at one time here. It's a real exciting opportunity, but the part that I like about it is that it's going to be hard. And I like that because it's a challenge that I think I can actually meet with the people, with around me, and the board and all that.
I wanted to ask this question because we're talking about the young people or the people that are coming through your program. Is there any training that you give on the receiving agencies? Because, a lot of times when I get staff members that are coming in and I hear their story, then I know that I have to give them even more than just, you're going to come to work. I have to create an environment for them to grow and to develop.
Right.
Because some of them have never been in a quote unquote professional environment. And so I'm not expecting when you come in, you're going to do exactly this. There's certain things that I know that I want to sow into the young people or the adults that I get. Is there any type of training that is given to the organizations that are receiving? Because some organizations might say, oh, I'm going to get this free labor for 200 hours and I'm going to be good. Versus others are saying, no, we want to make them a part of the family. And so we're going to be very selective so we can help.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question because, obviously that's why you have bureaucracy so that you can do things on a large scale, right? So we can't, I think every site should have a curriculum or training program for the individual that's on site to know and use. I don't want this is not just free labor here. Like, I know that's not what you're saying, but we have to make sure that we have the right strength training program. And we have a staff to help you do that. And so our side is we'll send somebody over. You've shown us that you have a curriculum that this individual will learn. Many of our OJTs are on-the-job training. We'll pay 3 or 4 months of it. But there's something at the end of it when it comes to just a certificate or something to that effect. And then we will actually administer the payments, the checks, and all of that for you. That's why I say we need to be a supporter, not us giving direct services. We need to support you so you can be you're the expert. And so that's how it works. You're just gonna have to, and we can help you with a curriculum. But I think most of the time, individuals has created a curriculum for them to follow.
And I guess I'm not talking so much as a curriculum because, as a teacher, you
Yeah,
had a
I know.
curriculum.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, for sure. You definitely know it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, but you had a curriculum, but there were some kids that would come into your class that they just would need to say, Mr. Young, I just need to talk.
Yes.
And
exactly,
you would help
yeah.
them actually get to who they needed to be to even hear the curriculum.
That's
and,
right.
And I'm just
I get
saying,
that.
are any of the, is there any support for jobs to let them understand that when you get these young people, they might not be where you want them to be, but as a part of your curriculum, you got to have some empathy. You have to have some patience. You have to have that ability to have that, for lack of a better word, community
Yes.
parent.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. I can't tell you how good we are at that because I haven't looked at the organization at that level. But I would also say that I'm not totally happy about how things have gone. I've seen some folks have in the past that 15 OJTs, and that's just not. It just doesn't work. And I don't want to get too close and talk too much inside baseball, but it has to be done in a real professional way so that people get something out of it. But also, that's the whole part of being an OJT is to get that real life experience. These young people it might even not be a young person, needs some help, some guidance, some mentoring, that type of thing. So.
Well, Mr. Young, this has been a great time, and I wish we could do more. We'll get back together with you again.
I appreciate the
We have
opportunity.
about
Thank
10
you.
minutes left. We're going to throw in some other things we're
All
going
right.
to talk about. But we're glad that you came out.
Thank you.
And this is going to be archived. It'll be online.
Yeah.
Dr. Thompson, you can tell them again where they can pick this up.
It's on YouTube. It's on their Facebook page.
Oh, I know how to find you guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I watch you guys. So I
Okay.
know how it
Okay.
goes. And
Okay.
yeah, I definitely appreciate the opportunity. You guys have some other things to talk about. But for me, it really is an honor to continue to serve like this. I mean, I just really am thankful for this. And so
Well,
thank
just
you for giving me
remember-
this platform.
We're interested in all of the areas that you have these meetings going, not just in our area.
Well, if you get
Yes,
on workforce.org,
Right.
we have a list of all of them.
Yeah, we saw the list.
Yeah, so those are, and then we'll probably add on one for homeless or unhoused.
Yeah.
We'll add on one for work at the port, what they
Right.
think, and then the third one is military.
Okay.
And so we also want to offer that if there are some additional people on your team that you would like to come on and share or whatever.
In particular
let us know.
programs, yes.
I gotta-
So that we can support getting the word out.
I got a couple of really great ones for you. You guys would love
Okay.
talking to them. But thank you so much.
Well, we thank you
All right,
for
so-
being with us.
So
All right.
This mean I can step out?
Yes.
Is there a commercial coming on?
Yeah, we're gonna rush through these few 9 minutes we have and do some more stuff.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
You guys have a wonderful day.
And be in touch. Okay. So, Dr. Thompson.
Yes, sir.
These kind of meetings are important. We had a lot to cover, and we're doing stuff. I want to mention that the Democratic National Convention is going on right now. This is night 3. We've seen people from California delegation. They were there for the roll call last night with the governor and Maxine and Pelosi and folks that we know locally. We saw them all in the audience, so it's been a big event. And so we still have issues going locally. We were having Black Men and Women United, and we've been talking about a meeting that took place last week was the pretext stops, and we're in touch with the chief of police in terms of establishing a community meeting where we can do more. And one of the things that I mentioned last week editorially was that we don't have to wait for the San Diego Police Department to change its policy on either pretext stops or curving people. All we need to do is get the city council to pass a policy that outlaws those things, and it's done. Because the police department will never do it on its own since it's controlled by the Police Officers Association, and their contract doesn't allow a lot of what we're talking about. So we have a lot of things that we're still working on. We're still dealing with the unsheltered. We're still dealing with evictions and the whole attitude at City Hall in terms of a couple of contracts that have raised some real eyes for us. And we want to continue these discussions that we're having.
And can I interject, Dr. Warren, that we've been getting some letters to the editor related to that pretext stop article and Project 2025. So for those of you listening, you might want to check that out in the paper this week.
All right, Miss West, you can't see me because I'm cheating with the cameras today, but can you just give us a quick snapshot of what to additionally expect? I know there's a lot getting ready to go on with the Voice and Viewpoint. So just give us a quick run through before we get back to Dr. Warren.
What to expect from this week's paper?
And what's coming up? I know you got some plans. And, y'all getting ready to travel, do some great things up north. Come on, just give us a quick snapshot.
Well, we're going up to Sacramento next week for the Ethnic Media Services Awards, so that's going to be exciting. Lots of updates on the website coming. We have a survey that is on the website now, so that you can go and visit and voice your opinion about certain things and have your voice heard. So am I missing it? I'm sure I'm missing
But y'all getting fancy. Y'all getting cameras to record things and lights, and you all are getting portable sound systems, and y'all even got a canopy now with your name on. I'm like, the Voice and Viewpoint, the branding game is going off the chain.
Well, it's about to get further off the chain with the items that are coming from T-shirts to mugs to caps and the whole bit. And one of my favorite slogans that's going on the back of shirts is that we're the keepers of the ink. Okay.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Okay.
Because remember, people without a voice cannot be heard.
Yes.
And so what I think is really exciting about this is that the opportunity for young people to tap in now. For some of you all that say, I want to let my voice be heard, the Voice and Viewpoint is an amazing place to do an internship with. And I'm going to tell you guys this from the giddy up. If you can make it under the direction of the Voice and Viewpoint and Dr. John Warren, if you can make it in that newsroom, you will be able to make it in any newsroom in America.
There's no question. You certainly will be. You will be. And you know what? We realize that we have a generation that's not reading as much, and so we're doing more with social media. That's why the news bites and the e-blasts and all of these things. But at the same time, we have to read. As we complain about what we don't know, if you want to hide something, you put it in plain view, in writing, and a lot of us are missing opportunities because we're not reading. So we want people to keep reading.
Well, and you know,
And can I say, as a former
well,
teacher, reading regularly, even if you're, reading that first, second paragraph and then the last paragraph, because there's a lot of times when you're reading things in the news, if you're not following the story, you're going to miss out by the
now,
10th,
now, now,
whatever
Miss
time
West,
people are.
because we were almost running out of time, and you know I'm gonna have
Right.
to ask you some questions about the Democratic convention. I want to know what you thought about last night.
Oh my goodness. I missed some of it, unfortunately, but Michelle Obama, oh my God, she broke it down. I mean, it was a masterful speech. Masterful. I was trying to write down some of the things she said. She said so many great things. I couldn't even keep up, you know. But she just really, I mean, everybody needs to go back and watch that speech and take notes. And one thing she said, I just have to say, we don't get a chance to change, we don't get to change the rules so
Hmm.
that they fit what we want, No. And this is not, I think the biggest thing that she had to say to people was that everybody needs to get out there and vote. Don't get comfortable because everything is hunky dory, wonderful. The polls seem to be in Kamala's favor. No, this is a fight to the end. Do not be confused. This is an important election, and everyone needs to get out there and vote and believe that she will be the next vice president, but she won't be if you don't vote.
Well,
Period.
the one thing I would say that resonated with both her and Barack was the power and the influence of her mother, and I think that that makes a big statement.
Absolutely.
And I think that we, as a
Absolutely.
community, need to continue to celebrate our elders for how they have helped us
Hmm.
come over and brought us this far. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed. Now, there are a couple of things that I was like, when Lil Jon came out, I was like, okay. They done got a little bit flashy for me, but I was okay. I
I
said,
missed
okay, I'm
that,
gonna get through it.
unfortunately.
But you know, I did enjoy the speeches. Dr. Warren, what was your take on last night?
Well, it was several. I enjoyed Hillary Clinton's speech. I thought it was very important. And I think the thing that she and Kamala had in common was that although they were both lawyers, they both started off being involved and concerned about children. And so I think that's important. I think that the convention has made a point of the life of Kamala Harris before this running. I think they've dispelled all of the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion myths. And if you understand, if you saw the roll call, many people realized for the first time last night that California is the largest state in the union. 494 votes. We got 492 of those. Here she was the attorney general for the biggest state, and she was also one of two state senators because each state gets a senator, gets two senators. And so now people are realizing the expertise and the experience that's there. And I believe that I have a editorial this week, and Latanya, I can't even remember the name of it. This week's editorial talks about.
Gosh, I can't either, Dr. Warren. Oh
And
my
that is
gosh.
the reason why you need to pick up the voice and viewpoint
I'm
and
telling
tune
you,
in.
you need to read this editorial because I know what
It was
it's
good.
called: the spiritual
Very
side
good.
of
Yes.
election campaigns.
Okay.
Yes.
The spiritual side of election campaigns, and it puts the word back into the process, which is as important as the motivation of the thousands of people. I thought it was significant last night that while a speech was being made by her husband, she was at a capacity crowd in Wisconsin. And that's almost unheard of for a candidate to be doing that in the midst of a campaign. So I think
Amazing.
it's powerful. I think it's caught on today. The most impressive thing was the number of Republicans who came to the mic and expressed why, as Americans, they were voting. And the one I haven't seen yet that I'm still concerned and wondering where she is Liz Cheney, because Benny Thompson was there. He was co-chair with her, and so I'm waiting to see where she is. But the Republicans are coming out of the woodwork for her. And so Trump's got to be nervous.
My favorite speaker, and I'm going to end off with this, was his former press secretary to say to him, let me tell you what he really thinks of y'all. She said, I was there. I knew what happened after the camera shut off. I was like,
Yeah,
my.
she did. She
Oh,
did,
my.
didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she told it all, I'm telling you.
So, Dr. Ward, believe it or not, we're at the end of the show.
Right.
Latanya, we're going to do better next time. We was just all up into it. I'm just going to probably say you're going to have to come more often.
Well, I didn't mean to speak over you. I apologize. I
Oh,
don't
no,
get to
no.
see you, so.
No, it's great. I just know that you have when you're in studio, you jump in and you like saying reclaiming my time, reclaiming my.
Well, we have a
That's one of
conflict.
my questions. I'm like,
We
darn,
do have a conflict next week because next Wednesday we will be in the midst of an awards ceremony
Exactly.
in Sacramento with the California Black Media and Ethnic Media Services, and I believe we're going to be getting an award at that event. So we're going to keep everyone posted. You can look on the internet, and we're going to put stuff up as soon as it happens.
So what
to
you're
keep
saying
up.
is we're not going to have a show next week.
No.
Because you guys are going to be up there, and our program director, Dr. Michelle, is going to be up
Will
there.
be
with
there as
you
well,
And
yes.
everything.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's going to be there along with a staff, one of our team members. I have to stay and hold the fort down. Because y'all know what's happening when y'all get back.
Yeah, yes.
Well,
So we're excited, but thank you.
this is from the Desk of the Editor with Dr. John Warren, Miss LaTanya West, Managing Editor, and myself. We want to thank you all for tuning in. And again, thank you to Mr. Young for coming in and being a part of the show. Again, have a good evening.
Good
Y'all
evening.
be blessed.
Are we off?